It's intermission time. It's great to get out to the movies.
I'm Megan. I host this podcast called Intermission, produced by the Synagogue. And Andrew and Ashley, can you two intro yourself to the listener of who you are, what you do?
I am Ashley Connor. I'm a cinematographer, specifically right now in this context for the Chair Company.
And I'm Andrew DeYoung, and I'm a writer-director.
And you two haven't worked together before, right? This is the first project you're working together?
Yeah, this is the first time we've worked together. We've known each other for many years, but this is the first time we got to work together.
If you want to tell the listener just like some previous projects, I know before the call we were saying, Andrew, that your movie Friendship came out this year. I saw it over in Los Feliz and like had such a good time watching. So I'm glad we were able to have you on because I really had a good time.
That's so nice of you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I mostly work in television, and I've done some shows like Pen 15 and Shrill and stuff like that, and some bad ones too that I won't mention. Some real bad stuff out there. Got to make a living, Megan.
Perfect. And me, I work in film, I work in TV, I've shot a season of Broad City, I've done a lot of movies. That's kind of where most of my attention is placed. I did a lot of Joseph E. Decker movies, Madeline's Madeline. I shot a Daniel Scheinert movie called The Death of Dick Long. I am color grading a movie right now called The Remarkably Bright Creatures. It's like a Sally Field friends with an octopus movie. So I kind of run the gamut of my interests and where I am.
Yeah, all over the place. Broad
All over
City
the
is
place.
such a good show. That show was like everything to me.
It is the girls are so smart and talented and funny, and I feel like it really spoke to a generation, specifically mine.
Okay, so this is a question we ask every guest that comes on the show. No right or wrong answer, kind of wherever you want to take it. But if you were to pick a film that describes where you're at in life right now, what comes to mind?
Die, My Love? No, I'm kidding. I am a newer mother, so that movie,
funny.
and I'm a big Lynn Ramsey fan, so that's just a good joke, but also very real. And I love that movie, and I think it really hit on what it feels like to be a mother right after you give birth, and kind of what's the word? I always described it as like the cutest episode of Twilight Zone, where you're kind of stuck in like a process over and over again. And funny enough, the first project back for me post giving birth was the pilot for the Chair Company. So, my life isn't like that, my love. I'm very happy, but I feel like it's a relevant answer right now, so I'll take it.
I just saw a movie yesterday called A Poet that is just top of mind in about this like guy it's a Colombian movie that comes out next year, and it's so fucking funny. And it's about this like Colombian poet who is like struggling with like writing, and because I'm struggling with writing right now. Everyone should see this movie. It's so good.
When you guys work together, like on set, do you have any references where you reference a film or a TV show and you're like, this is what we're going for, this is the vibe, and what came to mind on set for the Chair Company? Any like pivotal references?
I think Andy and I are both like cinephilic people. We watch a lot of movies. We love a lot of movies. I think we share a lot of taste in movies. And so we kind of saw, my pitch on the pilot really aligned with, I think, how Andy visualized the show. We wanted to take Ron's experience and make it like very sincere. Like we wanted to approach it very sincerely and very kind of in the thriller genre, and it was just a really rich landscape to kind of pull from more genre films. So I think for me, I remember watching Michael Clayton, I remember watching Seven. We're big like William Friedkin fans. I think a lot of our initial conversations were about energetically matching Ron's subconscious.
Mm.
And, we knew we wanted long zooms. We knew we wanted a certain shared aesthetic around like, I'm a big fan of Network, kind of 70s, 80s, Michael Mann kind of vibe. And I think for a comedy, that's a bit rare to kind of approach it from kind of, a more serious aesthetic.
I know we talked about specific things. We looked at shot deck a lot. Like, I know I came at it from a place of making sure it doesn't look like anything else, because I find like so much TV cinematography like really boring and
Mm.
stale, overlit. And I was like, I would kind of talk about these things, then Ashley would help like solidify it with different examples and that kind of thing. But I just wanted to make sure it didn't look like anything else, and that we could like be as malleable as possible on the day and stuff like that. It's also like shoot it like a drama. That's the goal. Like it
Yeah.
shouldn't look like a comedy at all.
It's funny because like Tim Robinson has such a specific comedic like angle and tone, and so I feel like to be able to have two different people, the director, photography, the director, like portray that in a concise way that like translates is tricky. Like I'm thinking of someone like Borat. It's just tonally, I bet, a bit tricky, but maybe not. Maybe just as a viewer, I feel that way because it's such a distinct voice. Oh, another show I thought of while I was watching The Chair Company was the Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone.
The Curse.
The Curse.
The Curse is another show where it's such a distinct tone that I would imagine is hard to achieve.
I think it is really tricky. And I think Andy and I have both worked in a lot of different kinds of television spaces. And when I kind of describe the difference between like TV shows and movies, it's like TV shows, you're building a machine that can like kind of chug along, and like you really want to make this kind of consistency, and the film feels very much like you build a very specific sharp axe to like use as a tool together. But this felt more like a movie than a lot of TV, and especially a lot of the comedic TV. Most comedies these days like make space for improvisation, and so you have to shoot it a certain way. And I think Tim and Zach are so specific in their writing and there's really not a lot of improvisation. So we were able to design shots a lot more. We were kind of able to like tackle the visualization from a more visually hard, aggressive aesthetic because we kind of knew the shape better. And that made it really fun. And I think that they built a really great team who kind of all approached the content similarly. I think this is like a show that's about like a father who's willing to like risk his family's safety and his marriage and all these things in order to follow an obsession. And so for me, I kind of approach the visuals from like a subconscious place of like, what is this man, how far is he willing to go? And there's a seriousness that you can kind of approach that I think speaks to Tim's comedy and really let the comedy play differently and play really, I find the show very funny and very heartbreaking. And, it kind of hits all these different beats that I'm really impressed with. And I think a lot of that has to do with Andy and a lot of that has to do with the writing.
Okay, this is something I always ask people that I find interesting, like filmmaking influences, director, photography influences, like who are the people that are your North Stars? And do you think your style is similar to theirs? Or is there like a different person and genre and aesthetic that is more actually what you're making?
That's a great question. For me, no. My favorite filmmaker is Terrence Malick, who is like I can't do what he does, and he's in a league of his own, even though I want to, and I don't even try. It's so hard. But I think, yeah, his ambition is something that I'm like, how do I do that like my way, you know? And his work is so like malleable, and it's like humorless, but it's also so playful. It's like playful in its like form and how he's trying to like find emotion and
You love Song to Song.
Song to I'm a defender of everyone, even though all the ones are, some of them are bad and don't work, but I still defend it because it's like I love a big swing even if it fails. But in terms of things that are more aligned with me, like a lot of David Gordon Green's like TV work, I really love. Things are more kind of closer to what we do, or especially like Ashley and I did on the show, like more like Claire Denis, Lynn Ramsey, you know, Andrea Arnold, Michael Haneke, like these people that are mostly pretty humorless as well, but they're kind of, there's an aggression and a confidence in their filmmaking that I know Ashley and I both like really resonate with.
I have like more of a textbook or stock answer, but if I would love to be the child of like Agnes Godard and Robbie Mueller, and that's sort of where I visualize myself. And I think like, the two films in college that like changed my mind about process or like what I could do were Lynn Ramsey's Morven Caller and Carlos Regatas's Stella Leaked, Silent Light. And I think that Andy and I kind of look at process similarly, where, I love those filmmakers because they're not afraid to fail. And that's always been a marker of my work. It's like they take a big swing, whether or not it works. Like I feel like we talked about Post Neighbors Lux a lot. These kind of, they're willing to like go the extra space and fail, and it doesn't always work. And I think that that's what makes things more alive and makes cinema more alive. And yeah, I'm a huge David Lynch fan, yeah. And I studied experimental film in college. So like, a big Maya Deren head, and that I feel like maybe that's not reflected in the show, but maybe for my big Maya D fans, you see it.
I mean, there's stuff, Megan, that we shot, like, and it's really Ashley was the main force behind it, that I don't really think made the show, but is very experimental. I mean, there's a few things. Isn't there a shot? Yeah, that like sometimes Ashley would, but I forget. That's probably like coming up soon, because they used it in not
they
the
used
episode
it in episode 5.
The shaky thing. Ashley would just shake the camera sometimes, like literally just get on the dolly and just shake it, and it was so exciting to do that. And there's a few things like very experimental, trying to get little experimental things on set. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But something I've like never been on a TV show where a DP is actively trying to like fuck with the image, and hopefully to bring more life out of it and like make the image like correct, like technically wrong, quote unquote. Like, but to me that's the most exciting thing, because again, film is plastic, it's malleable. And we should constantly be like fucking with it, and there's, I feel like no one's playing with it in that way. We're so rigid in like what a TV show looks like, what a film looks like. So there's a lot of stuff that didn't quite make the show, but it's like nice to talk about, because it's like Ashley was constantly trying to like push it into something we haven't seen before, and maybe in season 2, knock on wood, we could get some more of that.
I think that that's what made the show kind of more rare. And I think about the boys, or like Tim and Zach's comedy, and like if something's not working, they know kind of immediately that it's not working. And I think, again, David Lynch fan, I think about Room to Dream a lot, like his kind of quote about talking about room to dream on a set. And that's something that I really prioritize in my process now is that, especially in TV, you're shooting so fast, you're going so fast. So sometimes I need to kickstart an idea, and the shaking of the camera or doing something that, even if it doesn't work, it feels energetically like it's re-enlivened the crew, it's re-enlivened the moment. It has brought a different energy to something that maybe we didn't feel was totally working. And I felt like that was such a special kind of sacred space of the show, is there was room for that. And that was celebrated and also energized. And I think that, especially on TV schedules, you kind of get caught up doing cross coverage and doing this and doing things because your schedule is so fast that you have to keep doing the same thing kind of over and over again. And it's really important to kind of reground yourself. So those processes, even if they're not in the show, I think were instrumental in defining an energy that I think you feel in the show.
Yeah, for sure. How cool. Sounds like a fun project to be a part of.
It's a nightmare, Megan. It's so hard.
I had no fun.
Yes, no fun.
Do you guys have any movies or shows that come to mind that you've seen this past year that really caught your eye? Like some standout either performances or shots or up and coming directors, whatever comes to mind.
I've talked about A Poet. And then the next thing is Surat. Have we seen, Megan? Do you know about this movie?
Mm-mm.
Unbelievable. Fucking rock to me. You haven't seen it yet, Ashley. You got to go see it. I think it's like in theaters right now.
I know. I'm waiting to see it. I don't want to watch it on the player. I want to go see it in theaters.
No, you have to see it in theaters. Yeah. It's like,
I know.
Go see it tonight. What are you doing?
Come babysit for me, dog. Somebody like him, like I was talking to Andy, like his last film, Fire Will Come, like another film that I feel like changed my life. I watched it, and just the possibility of cinema and asking yourself like how somebody does something, and not in like a VFX way. You're just sort of like, I don't know how the fuck you shot a mountain on fire this way, or like he creates these rich images, and I mean that in my of like a literary metaphoric sense of, in Fire Will Come, it's like this bulldozer, it's kind of about destruction, and there's like this shot of like a bulldozer and it almost looks like a toy car taking down trees, and you just watch it for so long. I don't know, I feel like I watch a lot of movies and then no movies. I've already mentioned Die My Love, but I feel like Die My Love is far from a perfect film, but it's a film that requires something of the audience. And I think, I watch everything. I'll go see anything. My favorite thing is to drop my kid off at daycare and go to like a 9 a.m. movie with a coffee at Regal Essex. I live in New York. And everything thrills me. Everything excites me. The good, the bad, the ugly of what people can make and the capacity for art or whatever. And I do think like something like Die My Love, if it's not totally great, it required something of me to like sit in that theater and ask me questions that maybe I didn't want to answer. And I feel like that sort of participatory cinema that doesn't let you just it's not like a warm blanket on top of you, it's like a little stabbing, and that to me is the most exciting work. And I'm watching Reedland right now, and I think it's called Reedland. And it's great. Like I'm more into like the stranger things these days.
Sweet. I'm gonna definitely add Surat. Surat is how you say it, right?
I think so.
Sirat.
Yeah. The podcast is like honestly my personal like letterboxed of just getting ideas of what to watch, honestly, from my guests. That's like
I'll say something that no one has said this year, but one battle after another. Amen. We get another PTA film. And I feel like he was somebody who we also brought up in prep a lot, like Punch Drunk Love. And I feel like what is still so great about PTA is like he takes big swings, and I felt like that movie visually kind of pushed things to the outer boundaries. And again, I feel like making an audience, asking the audience questions that don't get easily answered is such a powerful and a lot of times lost tool that people don't use as much.
Now we're going to get into specifically questions on the chair company. I feel like we covered this kind of, but actually, like, how was it balancing comedic timing with camera movements, lighting, framing? I'm assuming you already had a good feel for the style of like the pacing of his writing and acting, but what was that like?
I think it's really tough. I mean, with TV schedules, it's really difficult to kind of fight for certain types of shots, certain type of movement, and to kind of align the crew with a vision. And I was really lucky to have incredible operators, an incredible team, and speed and efficiency were what was needed on this. And they always delivered. And I think on a comedy like this, you're not often able to sit on a dolly. You're not often able to like design shots and kind of build towards a visual, energetic pulse. And this one was one where, like, I think just from top to bottom, everybody was willing to kind of go the extra mile. And for me, that meant sacrificing time in one place so that I could deliver on camera movement and energy elsewhere. And for me, it was just really fun. I was coming off, like I said, a Sally Field octopus movie that is really sweet and really gentle and like a warm hug of a movie. It's wonderful. It's called Remarkably Bright Creatures. It's very sweet. It'll be out next year. But I went from that and was just like, I'm going to go so hard on the chair company. Like, I'm going to go so dark, so aggressive. And it's really two sides of kind of my cinematic brain in one year. And I love that. I love that I can kind of change and speak different languages. And I do think my return to making things after baby, because I was pregnant during the strike, and then it's really hard as a new mom to like get back on set, and I wanted the right project to kind of be the thing that brought me back. And the pilot, I just felt so psychotic. I was pumping 6 times a day on set. I was like, just a very crazy brain space to be in. And I think it's really reflected in the kinds of things I was attracted to visually. And sometimes, I think filmmaking, making work, making TV, whatever, kind of feels like a diary of your life and where you're at and what you're watching, how you're feeling, what you're doing. I always use, who you're fucking, whatever. It kind of becomes this diaristic experience. And this one feels very special that it was also tied into like becoming a mother and returning to work.
I'm curious, like, from the original pitch of the show and like pitch decks or whatever, in whatever format you were able to hear about the show, to then it coming out, like, how much is different in like not what you expected of the show?
Tim just texted me the script and then they were like, yeah, we Vertigo and like a few movies that they talked about, and outside of that, it never came up really. I think like, Ashley, do we maybe show them like a lookbook kind of thing, and they were like, sounds good. We did that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I made a serious lookbook.
That's right.
For this.
For you to get hired, we had a lookbook, but there's like a couple North Stars where it's like shoot it like a drama. Kind of that's it. And my own personal things that like Ashley is privy to, just making sure it feels like original, interesting, and comes from like a place that's serves our own vision, and we're not trying to like placate to the audience or something. I want it to feel like very different. So, and thankfully Tim and Zach are like have their full trust in us.
I keep talking about it because people keep bringing it up, but like the kind of Twin Peaks reference. And I think that is, again, like a sacred space for me. I'm like a huge all Twin Peaks and The Return fan. And, they're very different shows from each other, but I think the emotional comparison that I return to is like, I think Tim and Zach have their own unique, special way of visualizing and looking at the world, and the way that they write characters, the way that they approach characters, the way that like they kind of take Ron's journey very seriously, and they kind of give a sincerity to that arc. It's very easy to kind of make that content really schlocky and very, winky winky, hat on hat. And I think instead they approached it with their own unique world, and we kind of had to like really believe in that. And I think the Twin Peak comparisons to me are just that these spaces they're the real world, but they're not the real world. And they're kind of their own universe where like the internal rules and logic make sense into itself. And I think that that's actually a rare thing. I think people use like the Twin Peaks or the Lynch reference to say like it's weird, it's like strange, but that to me is such like a basic, I don't know, I hate when directors are like, make it weird. I'm like, what does weird mean? And I think that's something that what I loved working with Andy is it wasn't just like, how do we make this stranger? It was like the questions that he would ask me or that we would ask each other were really kind of, there's like baseline and then challenging ourselves to go kind of into a different realm. And that's a creative space that I find very engaging.
I want you both to answer for the other person. What scene from The Chair Company do you think the other person is proudest of?
I mean, I want to. The first thing that pops into mind is at the end of the pilot, the chase. Just because it was such a hard thing to do, and it looks fantastic, and Ashley did it. She pulled it off. It's like so impressive.
I think the pilot in general, I feel like, HBO has been so supportive and amazing. I'm not sure that they knew what we were going to give them. And I think once we started like, a running joke that our great producer, Todd Schulman, would, he'd bring me like his phone with like a still and he'd be like, is this True Detective or is this The Chair Company? And, that kind of seriousness, it's really hard to kind of pull off that tone. And I thought that in the pilot, Andy really embraced and defined that tone so well that it was really easy the rest of the season to kind of build upon that, because the pilot in many ways is like the most normal episode. It sets up things, and it builds a world where this is coming out after the season is aired, but like where you can watch Scrooge get a blowjob, like that can exist on a TV show, like or somebody can get hit in the dent, or there's just so many things that happen in the show. And I thought that Andy really set it up well and established that anything could happen.
Thank you.
Did you guys feel like the other person answered something you would have said?
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like at the end of the season, I feel like, I get texts from crew, I get texts from a lot of people just kind of saying like how special and creative the show felt for them. And I feel like there's some like unholy trifecta of like what you're trying to hit always when you're making something. And this felt like we got it firing on all cylinders. And I feel like that's a very unique and rare feeling, especially, there are shows that have like much, much larger budgets where you can kind of fuck around and keep shooting into oblivion. And that just wasn't what we were able to do. So we really had to like use our time well.
Okay. I'm going to close this out with a little game. No right or wrong answers. I'm going to say a character from like a show or a movie, and you have to just say a film that you think would be like in their top 4 on Letterboxd, like one of their favorite movies. from the perspective of the
Oh
character.
no.
Oh,
You don't need to
God,
agree
Megan.
on your answer. You got to. You got to.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
first-
Okay, all right.
I'm going to start us off with a movie I just watched. I'm hoping you guys saw it. Agnes from Sorry Baby.
The Eternals by Chloe Zhao.
And I'm gonna build on that. I'm gonna say Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is for sure top 4.
Okay, next we have
Do every character from Sorry Baby.
The cat.
The cat.
oh Janice Ian from Mean Girls.
She's for sure gonna like some like French. I'm gonna say Cleo from 5 to 7.
I've never seen Mean Girls. So
Andy!
I've never seen either one.
Or-
the new one.
I have a
or
better
the-
one. I have a better Agnes Varda. She likes Vagabond more. She a Vagabond girly. All my Vagabond girlies show up. There you go.
Okay, Paul, I don't know how to say the character's last name, but Paul, played by Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers.
Can you try to say the last name? Huh? Okay, but say the full question and say it confidently.
I'm being so directed right now. It never stops.
I want you to say his full name confidently.
I don't know how it would be like to have you as a director. Paul Hunham from The Holdovers.
My answer's out of he's gonna be like a Citizen Kane guy, or he's gonna be like It's a Wonderful Life guy, and he's gonna make some classical cinema argument.
Yeah, it depends what year. For some reason, I'm thinking about Sorcerer, but I don't know why that popped up.
Ooh,
Because that's
okay.
Are they in the 60s?
I just looked it up.
Late
And
60s. Okay.
Holdovers is 1970, supposedly around
Okay,
there.
so in a couple years down the road in his life,
But
he'd
maybe
watch
I'm wrong.
Sorcerer.
Maybe Sorcerer is 68, but
No, it feels later.
1977. So he hasn't seen Sorcerer yet.
Bob in One Battle After Another.
The Battle of Algiers.
A Battle of
Oh, in the
Algiers.
movie
Yes,
on his
yes.
couch.
But I Am Cuba would be good for sure.
Yeah.
That's on the nose though.
I feel like he's like a whatever's on Turner Classic Movies at the time is what he's going to be watching. He seems very lazy. Like it's like Criterion Channel 24/7 the live feature. He's just going to watch what's on and enjoy it.
He's gonna be flipping through the channels one day and for some reason be captivated by Problem Child. And end up watching half of Problem Child.
Or like Look Who's Talking.
Yeah, Look Who's Talking.
The second half of Look Who's Talking.
He'll like stop, and it's like when you're in a hotel and you're like, oh, I ended up watching the last 45 minutes of Central Intelligence with Kevin Hart and The Rock. What the hell did I just do?
Or he's one of those horn dogs who went to see Blue is the Warmest Color in cinema like 17 times.
Absolutely. He's Googling Blue is the Warmest Color stills on Google.
I'm gonna close this out here with Tim Robinson's character in The Chair Company. What movie would be in his top 4?
Eternals by Chloe Zhao. Who I hear has a new movie coming out, Megan.
He's for sure a writer. He loves the writer. He only likes Chloe Zhao.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. That's actually a shot of Tim just brooding, watching the writer. It's kind of beautiful.
Oh, The Cutting Edge.
Oh.
My dad was like a serious man, and one of his favorite, showed me Apocalypse Now, showed me like all these like Clockwork Orange, but one of his favorite movies was like The Cutting Edge. I feel like Ron is a softie. He likes a wild,
he
but
likes
like sweet movie.
For reals though, no joking. He's like Field of Dreams, Legend of Bagger Vance kind of guy, probably.
Or like The Verdict. He's like watching
Juror number 4 or whatever it is. You have to answer this one too, Megan.
I feel like The Game.
Ooh.
The Game. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a banger of a movie. That's a blast.
Yeah. And I think I said it because I like it, but I think that he would as well.
He would absolutely like the game. Actually, it's interesting. I don't know if we ever talked about it. That's a good reference for the show too. Like a man getting lost in a thing that's bigger than him. It's really interesting.
I kind of killed this game then.
You killed the game.
No, you didn't. You've brought a new life to it.
Before we close out, if you guys can just plug the chair company one more time and then any upcoming projects you want to shout.
You don't want to be a loser on the playground, so you got to be up on the cool shit. And I feel like, you got to watch. You got to watch. You got to find out. I get a lot of texts from people asking what the mystery is.
That's amazing.
That's not a good plug.
Everyone needs to watch I Love LA. It needs your help. Okay? It's filled with great people who I adore. It's in front of the camera, behind the camera. Stop watching our show and watch I Love LA. Okay? Those people are lovely. And I've been to all those places.
Of course you have. Of course you have.
There's so many lovely people that I know on that show, and I'm it's cool that we get to do it at the same time.
Sunday nights are never going to be the same, Sunday night, hot night. That's the pitch.
So we got to do a little crossover episode.
I want a Jetsons meets the Flintstones episode. I Love LA meets the Chair Company.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen?
Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to close this out here. Thanks again for coming on the podcast.
Good evening.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. To stay in touch, follow our Instagram page at It's Intermission Time and share with your friends. As always, Intermission is produced by Jazeel Chu and Olivia Dean, and of course, hosted by yours truly, Megan Braun. This episode is brought to you by The Synagogue.